In the name of the one who is love. Amen. The gospel reading today is the first of 4 readings from what's called John's Bread Discourse, which is essentially Jesus beginning to explain the deeper significance of the feeding of the 5,000, which was last week's story. And I want to explore this in a bit of a backdoor sort of way through the other reading today from Exodus, which is also referenced by John in this gospel. Last week, after the 5,000 were fed, understandably, the crowds came to Jesus for more physical sustenance. But this time, Jesus did not give them what they wanted, but instead they were met by seeming metaphor and abstraction, with Jesus saying things of himself like, "I am the bread of life," and having them reflect on their own hungers. If I am them, I would be flustered and annoyed. Please just give us what we want. How frustrating indeed when we are faced with the question, for what do we really hunger? For what do we really want and long for? These are questions to sit with without jumping to easy answers, which Jesus knew well. We'll come back to this. Now, Exodus is usually viewed as a book about liberation, a story of God taking a people out of bondage and into a promised land. While that is true, yet taken as a whole, Exodus, I think, is more a story about living in the wilderness. The wilderness is the space where we can't go back to where we came from, and we can't yet get fully to where we want to be. It's a true premise to say that everyday life as we know it often feels like a wilderness. And this is, in my experience, irrespective of social and economic levels, by the way. Some of us in this room today may feel as though you are in a very particular wilderness right now. Some old ways of being and thinking no longer work. And in order to survive, you need to find new tools, new ways of operating, new sustenance. Richard Rohr says that spirituality is about unlearning. It is the process of decluttering and clearing out old ideas to make room for new tools to help us navigate life. In this text in Exodus, as well as the gospel, interestingly, the name of the food manna literally means, what is it? The meaning is defined by a question. They woke up in the morning after their deep despair. The fog cleared, the dew dried, and they were staring at what would be their sustenance for the next 40 years. And they literally said, what is it? The life-giving source was unrecognizable. It was a new idea, a new experience. And in this context, the provision of manna happened to be an occasion for teaching them about Sabbath and about healthy rhythms of life. They collected only what they needed every day, and on the 6th day, twice as much, so that they could share what they had and then be free just for the sake of beauty and the enjoyment of being alive, even amidst the challenges they faced in the wilderness. This also foreshadows the Jubilee vision, where debts are forgiven and abundance shared with the poor in the 7th year. If I were to boil it down, they were learning about rhythm of life and about enoughness in the wilderness space, which is such an important question. How much is enough? For all of us, how much is enough? One of my thoughts and invitations for us today is that we might pause in the assumption that we know exactly what we want or need, but rather to ask, how can we allow our wilderness spaces to draw us into deeper places of benevolence, to look for instances in our lives where something is trying to enter in, or something is on our path, and our first response may be to say, what is it? What is this? Could this be manna from heaven? If this is your experience, then perhaps you are right where you need to be. Now, I'm happy to report that I got married a few months ago. Prior to this, I was divorced roughly a decade ago, and mostly on my own for many years, of which I would describe as a long wilderness experience for me. And through community and friendship and much good counsel, I was able to grow and transform through this time. And when I met Kat and began our relationship, I found myself asking the question, what is this? Who is this? Surprised by nourishment for a life that I did not see coming. We were together only for 5 months, actually, the first time we had the opportunity to go to St. Bart's together a few years ago. Apparently, it's all it took to seal the deal. Here we are again today. What is this for you now? It could be the beginning of something. It could be the ending of something. A new opportunity. It could be a need and desire of your soul that is speaking out that you can't deny any longer, even if that next step comes with great consequence in life. There's a guy who lives nearby me that I know. He's a well-known musician in my orbit named Joe Henry. And I remember him talking about the songwriting process. And he said this striking phrase. He said, in the process of creating or waiting for the muse, you must abide in the mystery. Abide in the mystery. How do we abide long enough in the unknowing, the discomfort, the disorientation, in order to allow that which is new to emerge? Abide in the mystery. To close, I don't want to speak glibly about the wilderness, as surely there are some listening today who are going through extremely difficult ordeals. If this is the case, may you know an abundance of care and love in tangible and felt ways, especially when it comes from unexpected sources. And also, I'd suggest that what we experience as wilderness and how we are nourished is not an accident. It's not something just to get through as quickly as possible. The wilderness is life and the elemental journey that we are all on. It's where we find the freedom to trust, to risk, to explore, and to be truly present. For this freedom and lack of attachment to stuff is what we truly hunger for the bread of life for the sake of the world. In this vein, may we know life's constant invitation to exploration and to new beginnings. Amen.